funnily, I mean, it was in the 40s where you could see a picture or a movie of so and so good looking actor, doctor having a cigarette in his mouth and he's performing, and that was normal.
Yeah.
And then yeah, so it's interesting to see the contrast. I mean, yes, because it's cancer causing, uh, but the contrast of you can be a doctor and smoke cigarettes. So I'm getting off the highway, and I think it's 127 South, and getting up in Mason. And again, this truck is about maybe 2 football fields away. So, and I'm looking, making sure the traffic's right. So I go ahead and go across, because then there's another. It's a one way this way and a one way that way. So I'm going across to get into this middle lane section to turn left, right, to make sure I go. The truck driver. I guess they may have believed that I cut them off. I 100% know I did not cut them off. I'm in a smaller vehicle, and I made sure I got to my destination safely because I'm like, you're not moving any faster, you're not going any slower, or in fact, you're probably going even slower. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to my destination. So I get to my destination. They blaze on their horn as they get past me, and they're totally fine. Like they didn't need to swerve around or anything. And they're blaring their horn, and as they pull up next to me, I can hear them yell a hard R out the window
Mm-hmm.
as he goes on going south. And I was like, if I was a more agitated or less nice person, I would be inclined to follow them. And then it would be like, so what do you mean by hard R? Were you talking about my car? You wanna you wanna revisit what just happened there as you pass me? And it goes to the whole enmity of, I can say what I want to say and no one's going to I don't have to atone for it, I don't need to be accountable for what I say, versus being in real life and I don't have to atone for I don't have to be accountable. I'm gonna say what I say out the window and be out my way. And it's like why? But those are my dealings of some brief little situations where I was like, that's strange that you went with that. That's strange that they had that feeling. Interesting. So you were saying your sister?
Oh, yeah. So we were talking about wizards and that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I made that crack about how she had told me today
Mm.
when I was cleaning up my mom's house that she went to Howell and it looked, really nice downtown and
It's a beautiful
everything.
area.
And
Yeah.
so she went to the library there and she asked, about anything on, KKK
Hmm.
being there. And they said, oh, well, we've got this one thing, and it is
Did
in
she
this
know that
particular
they were?
archive. She didn't know, she had heard that there were, but didn't
Yeah.
really know about it. And
Okay.
I was telling her, like, oh, yeah, they were plotting to blow up buses. They were not going to have integration take place. I mean, this was the last bastion of the
Yeah.
KKK in Michigan. And she was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that either. So she wanted to find out where this one archive was,
Mm.
and they didn't have it on the main floor at all. And I said, okay, so where's this at? Oh, it's down in the basement. So went down there, and the guy said, yeah, this is locked, up at this one particular thing, and it was everything that supposedly
Yeah.
talked about KKK, but it was only just like one article, and
Mm.
it's locked up. Oh, and that's because of COVID. And it's like, okay, so nowhere in this entire library do they talk about this, that took place. Nothing about the buses. I mean, there was
Right.
nothing about that, no mention at all. And it's all locked up. And it's like, man, talk about sanitizing this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like we're just
Clean
gonna
your
pretend it.
hands
Yeah,
and
for sure. We're gonna make it look nice down here. And
yeah.
then, oh my gosh, yeah, this
Yeah.
revisionist history is just
Yes.
amazing. And then what's going on with the 1612
You talking about the
project.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was
how
1696. No, it's,
I get the date
yeah,
messed
the
up.
numbers.
Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, no, you're good.
I get that whole thing with the World War One movie. What was it 1912 or something like that?
Yeah.
19. Anyway, um, so and how we can't talk about critical race theory,
Yeah.
and it's like, and if you don't know what it is, neither do the people that are making these new laws,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we can't talk about anything that really happened. We can't talk about how bad things used to be and how people were exploited, and
Yeah.
we can't talk about that at all. It has to be that we're just going to get past that.
Yeah.
It's like the "Don't Say Gay" law down in Florida, and
Yeah. Which oddly they brought back when I thought it was once it was like you can say you're gay if you want. I don't care. Now it's like no, don't say it. I'm like, well, why revert if you already got used to like I don't.
we
What's
have
the
reverted back so much. Back in the 80s, where we had Magic Johnson and we had Michael Jordan and we had Shaq, and people were like, "Oh, it's cool to be a person of color,"
yeah
and we like that. Well, I like
profitable?
Mike, that kind of thing. It's like, of course, they're still going to be the way that they are,
Yeah.
and people trying to dance to Salt and Peppers, Push It, that kind of thing. um, every wedding, right? I mean, it's always anyway.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So
I've been to several weddings, and there's this one song. It's like, oh, this is your. We're not. We accept everybody. So
Yeah.
okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
And so with Trump,
Mhm.
it's like there's been this dog whistle, to get everybody back, and they are so angry, after trying to deny 8 years of Obama really being president,
Mhm.
that it was no, it's all a sham. He's not really American, he's from Kenya.
Mm.
That whole thing, because they couldn't get past that,
Yeah.
and so there's this backlash of this white supremacy stuff that has taken
Mhm.
place with that person being their sponsor of all of this, that it's not just race, it's also gay. We can't say that
Yeah.
anymore. If you are trans, oh no, because that went too far. And it's like, how does this affect you? Oh yeah, and abortion, we got to get rid of this, and even though 2/3 of Americans are,
Therefore,
yeah,
yeah, it's like
no,
go ahead. It's
so,
yeah,
oh, we can't have that. Well, then don't have one. I mean, if you don't want it, then
Yeah.
don't have one.
yeah,
Anyway, it's just amazing how that has come back out. I was driving back up here from Ann Arbor today, and I saw this sticker. It says, "Don't blame me. I voted for Trump." And it's like, no, you are the person that we're going to blame for all of this coming up.
Why put a bumper sticker to say don't blame? You're doing the. It's like the reverse psychology.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
that's exactly what
that's
we're
all
doing.
fake news. Yeah, right. Stop the steal. Yeah, right.
I was at a speedway and someone who's petitioning to have more access to legal voting, basically requiring a driver's license to vote. And I was like,
Oh my God.
I don't like the sound of this. It sounds very iffy. So I asked him, okay, is this bipartisan support?
I saw that. Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, it's bipartisan support.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so what about people who are like felons who are trying to clean their record and they're trying to get ID? If they have an ID, they can vote. It's like, yeah, they can go vote. It's so everybody can vote. And so that they don't, have people who can vote twice. I'm like, Michigan has some of the most strict laws.
It doesn't happen.
And it doesn't happen. And they're like, no, I'm pretty sure Michigan has very loose laws. There was like 400, and I'm like, in my head, 400 out of
No.
10
No.
million
And
people.
there were not 400.
And I 100% believe there was not four. There might have been three, and it was a spelling error.
And there was the only ones that was documented. It was a Republican who was trying to vote twice.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what it was. Yes. Because was it his mother or grandmother or somebody passed away,
Yeah.
and he was trying to like vote
Yeah.
for her. Yeah. That's how it was. So it was like, in my head, I'm like, I know this to be true, and what you're trying to tell me is not true. And the student, the lady intern, she's from Illinois, so she has no real, like, as far as I know, importance of understanding how Michigan is, right? So when she said no, Michigan does not have the most strict laws, I'm like, I literally read that Michigan's like one of the top states of strict voting, like safety precautions. Like we are good, we're safe with voting. Like absentee voting has been a thing forever since Vietnam War.
Trump voted that way.
How do you? Yes, and it's like, how do you think they vote if they can't physically go into a place to vote? They're gonna mail it in. It's been a thing forever. So it was in my head. I wanted to like explain all this, but they were quick to say, "Well, I just want you to know." Were you willing to sign the petition? Because I have other people to talk to. I'm like, okay, you're here not to understand law or voting. You're here to fill in time for your internship. I don't need anything more. You don't need any more from me. I won't sign this petition because I don't. There's something weird about this that I don't
Voting
like.
is a right. Driver's
Yeah.
license is a privilege. People keep saying that. Oh, well, you have to have your ID to, be able to
Yeah.
drive a car. It's like, that's a privilege. That's not a right.
Right. Right.
So I don't need to have this kind of ID in
Yeah.
order to vote. That's
It's
ridiculous.
weird. I don't like it. Like no.
No, it's another hoop. It's to drive people away. Is it to drive rich people away? No, because
Right.
we don't want that.
Yeah. And it was like, why would I need to be forced? And they're saying it was going to make it more accessible to
No.
get. No, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
If it's more accessible than it already is to get a license, like how more accessible is it? Are they going to physically go to that person's residence and say, fill out this form, we'll get your license, it'll be printed out in 2 seconds. Here you go. That's the only way I believe it's
Yeah.
more accessible.
Right.
Other than you yourself going down to Secretary of State with a piece of mailing and whatever, and like, yep, I live here, take a picture, there's your license. Birth certificate if need be, or whatever, like you can do it all there. So if you can make that somehow more accessible, then I might believe what you're saying. But that is already accessible. So I didn't sign it, and then they're going around in the gas station. It was a rainy day, and I'm on my lunch. I'm like, I want to know more, but at this point, she already proved to me what she was willing to sit and stand for, right? Stand for a signature, and that's it. And you're on your way. I'm not signing for that because you're not even invested in my community. But here you are
Yeah.
trying to invest for B. No, okay. So it's yeah.
It just is appalling to me. And people go, well, if you've got something to hide, it's like, you know what? You don't get hunted by the police. Okay, I'm pretty sure that you don't get hunted by the police. I'm pretty sure that you don't get pulled over for a taillight that's supposedly out or something like that. And then you have to worry, is somebody going to shoot you? Because you are who you are in this car and somebody's having a bad day or for whatever, reason there's an
Yeah.
agenda. So why would you go down when the police do these kind of stings all the time where they invite all of these people to come down, because they had won something or something like that. And then, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's all a sting. And you hear about this on TV. It's like, okay, Tuskegee,
Yes.
thing that went all the way up into the 70s, where they're actively withholding medicine to people that have syphilis and say,
Yeah.
you cannot leave this program. You can't even go seek treatment somewhere else because we are not really treating you. We want to see what long-term syphilis looks like. And
Yeah.
so we are going to keep you out of all of this and yet tell you,
Yeah.
all of these kind of lies when this has been going on for years and years and years and years, and then say, okay, but we want you to just register to vote. Come on down,
Yeah.
and do this in person. It's like, I don't trust that.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Why would I do that? Why would I want to be a part of that whole thing? So, this voting by mail, that's going to be great. But you know what?
Yeah.
We're going to say it's illegal for you to count any of the mail-in votes until after the election is over because we don't want that to come out on the news and people say, well, I'm not going to go down and vote then because it's already been, decided.
Yeah.
And so they made it that you could not count those votes until after the election was over. And I was hearing this from people that were Trump supporters say, well, all I know is in the middle of the night, Trump was ahead, and then all of a sudden the Democrats win. Yeah, that is all a scam. It's like, well, they couldn't count those votes. They made it illegal to count the votes beforehand.
Right.
Once the polls closed, then they could start counting that. And the majority of the people, they didn't want to deal with that crap.
Right.
That's how they did it. That's how my mom did it. She voted that way.
Yeah.
I was gonna, but I thought, no, I better do this in person just because if something were to come up,
Right.
and sure enough, they're trying to. Anyway.
Yep.
And people don't get that. They go, well, we need to, make it, some sort of way to get there. We can't just give this to people. No, it's a right. It's not a privilege.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Don't get me started.
It's funny. It's because what was it in? I think it was in Georgia. They were having programs. Oh, was it the very wealthy Democrat who was running for president way back in 2016. It wasn't Buffett. I think it starts with a B. But it wasn't Warren Buffett. It was a different one. Not Sanders. It was Sanders. It was a lady. Biden was like almost last.
The guy
place.
who put in his own money to help finance it. Yes.
Yes. Him.
He was a hedge fund manager or something like that.
Wealthy rich man says good things, but he's a wealthy rich man. And how did he get his wealth? Well, we're not. We don't get that. So, but what he was doing, he was having these programs. I think he went through into Georgia where it gave inmates a way to, get their records clean, and then they're able to allow them to vote. And it was like a huge, nice thing. But you also seen the amounts of negative response toward it. It was like, no, they lose their right because they committed a crime and whatnot. It was disgusting. I was like,
that's ridiculous.
It was disgusting. It was like, why don't you want them to vote? Because they're going to vote against what you could. Okay, I see.
They don't want law and order. They're going to vote against it.
You're right. How do they? Yeah, I'm going to use the system to break the system. I'm going to vote against the system that's giving me the. No, you can't. There's no way you can. Yeah. So it was in these past election years, it's been a wild ride to see people think that the typical African American man can never be Barack Obama. He is a complete once-off individual, right? Who even, I don't understand, and most black people aren't like that. So clearly he's not he can't be black because the black people I see, they're somewhere else and they're that. But that Obama, he's not. He's somebody different. He's Hawaiian or he's Kenyan or his middle name
he
is.
speaks so well.
Yeah. He can't be who he says he is. Well, okay. We'll ignore your biases there. He's Satan. Whoa.
Yeah.
What? So hearing that, and then going from that to where Trump was like, where Hillary had her several oopsies and several. I'm gonna ride the coattails of my name alone and try to connect with a younger audience who have no clue, no realm of respect for who I am. I'm just gonna look like the cool grandmother who they never met, right? It didn't work, clearly. And the coattails of your name wasn't gonna work either because under Clinton, that was kind of the most highest prison populated boom in America of African American men.
Law and Order.
So it was like, you want us to trust you when your husband was locking up, fathers, brothers, uncles for two blunts, or, turning them out down the wrong street. It's, yeah.
3 strikes and you're out. Yeah, mandatory sentencing, all of that stuff.
Yes. And we're going to send you to a prison. Don't worry the fact that they pay us and they get more money if we send more people to them. Don't worry about that part.
Right.
Yes, of course, the judge will be paid by them too, but don't worry about that. This is the equal, fair law that we happen to have to give to African American men from ages 16 to 25 and 30 and 35 and from 50. It's like, so you just don't want, okay. But to say all those things is critical race theory, and we're gonna ban books that mention anything CRT related. Ron DeSantis.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Algebra books that okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now we can't count
Right.
the years that yes, okay.
That's how they really do it. So they can't count the votes that are out there. That's funny as hell.
Yeah, so it's I don't know what's gonna happen in the next, several years, but it's exciting to see the amount of people, doing good, and it's exciting to also be a part of it in my own like community outreach, like the level of work that's happening. I'm gonna cut the
Yeah, sorry.
no, you're good because I have a story that I don't want recorded here.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's been a wonderful time, Paul. Thank you. It's one of those things in Michigan where it's like I think it's just anywhere in Michigan. Yeah. I'll see you. And we're gonna have this conversation for another 30 to 40 minutes of I'll see you. Anyways, peace, love, and prosperity to you all. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe, bell icon, ring it as many times as you can. 5 stars on whatever platform you're listening to. I think Apple has 5 stars. Spotify has, I think, comments, ratings. Rate it good. And if you want to join on, let me know. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, wherever I post this. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Alex. This is cool.